Mommy, why are the windows so cold? 3-year-old Jade pressed her tiny hand against the frosted car window, her breath making small clouds in the freezing air. In the driver's seat, Sienna wrapped another blanket around her daughter, blinking back tears she couldn't afford to shed. It's just winter, sweetheart. We're camping, remember? Like an adventure. But it wasn't an adventure. It was survival. Sienna was 27, sleeping in a 2008 Honda Civic in a grocery store parking lot, rationing the last of their food and praying nobody would notice them. 2 months ago, she'd had a home, a husband, and hope. Now she had nothing but her daughter and a car that barely ran. Her husband, Marcus, had been her college sweetheart, charming, ambitious, but hiding demons she didn't see until it was too late. He'd spiraled into gambling addiction after his brother's death, pouring their savings into poker games and sports betting, convinced the next win would fix everything. When Sienna discovered their accounts were empty and they were $80,000 in debt, Marcus disappeared. Left a note that said, "I can't watch you suffer because of me. You and Jade deserve better." Sienna had tried everything, moved in with her mother, but her mom's small apartment couldn't accommodate them, and her fixed income was already stretched thin. Applied for assistance, but the waiting lists were months long. Worked 2 waitressing jobs until her babysitter quit without warning, and she couldn't afford another. Lost both jobs when she missed shifts caring for Jade during a flu. 3 weeks ago, eviction came. And now, every night, Sienna parked in well-lit areas, kept the engine running in short bursts for heat, and told her daughter they were on an adventure. But tonight was different. Tonight, someone knocked on the window. Sienna's heart stopped. A man in an expensive coat stood in the rain, concern etched on his face. She cracked the window an inch. "I'm sorry to bother you," he said gently, "but I've noticed your car here the last few nights. Are you okay?" Sienna's defenses rose. "We're fine, just waiting for someone." The man glanced at Jade, who was shivering despite the blankets. His expression shifted, not pity, but recognition of something deeper. "I'm Garrett. I own the building across the street." He paused. "I'm not here to cause trouble. I know what it looks like when someone's out of options, and it's supposed to drop to 15 degrees tonight." Sienna's composure cracked. Tears streamed down her face. "I don't have anywhere else to go." Garrett's jaw tightened. "You do now. Please, let me help." 30 minutes later, Sienna and Jade sat in a warm apartment above Garrett's office building, a furnished space he kept for out-of-town employees. He'd brought them soup, blankets, and toys for Jade. As Jade slept peacefully on the couch, Sienna sat across from Garrett, hands wrapped around hot tea. "Why are you helping us?" she whispered. "You don't even know me." Garrett stared at his cup, his voice distant. "When I was 8 years old, my mother and I lived in our car for 6 months. My father had left us with nothing, spent everything on his business that failed. We slept in parking lots, ate at soup kitchens, and every night my mom told me we were on an adventure." His voice broke. "She died when I was 16, pneumonia she couldn't afford to treat. And I swore I'd never see another mother and child in that situation without doing something." Sienna's tears came harder. "I'm so sorry." "Don't apologize. Just let me help you." Over the following weeks, Garrett became their quiet guardian. He didn't swoop in with money and solve everything. He understood that healing required dignity, not charity. Instead, he helped Sienna find a job at a nonprofit he supported, one with childcare on site. He connected her with a financial counselor who helped negotiate her debt. He gave her time, space, and most importantly, belief. One evening, Sienna found Garrett in his office, staring at a photo of a woman who looked like him. "That's her, isn't it?" Sienna asked softly. "Your mother?" Garrett nodded. Her name was Patricia. She worked 3 jobs, slept 4 hours a night, and never once complained. "She taught me that wealth isn't measured in money, it's measured in the lives you touch." Sienna's tears came harder. "I'm so sorry." "Don't apologize. Just let me help you." Over the following weeks, Garrett became their quiet guardian. He didn't swoop in with money and solve everything. He understood that healing required dignity, not charity. Instead, he helped Sienna find a job at a nonprofit he supported, one with childcare on site. He connected her with a financial counselor who helped negotiate her debt. He gave her time, space, and most importantly, belief. One evening, Sienna found Garrett in his office, staring at a photo of a woman who looked like him. "That's her, isn't it?" Sienna asked softly. "Your mother?" Garrett nodded. Her name was Patricia. She worked 3 jobs, slept 4 hours a night, and never once complained. She taught me that wealth isn't measured in money, it's measured in the lives you touch. Sienna sat beside him. "You know what's interesting? Marcus, my husband, he thought money would solve everything, chased it until it destroyed us. But you have money, and you understand it can't heal everything." "Because I learned the hard way," Garrett said quietly. "I built this company from nothing, slept in my car during the early startup days, just like you, showered at the gym, ate ramen for a year. When success came, everyone assumed I'd forget where I came from. But how could I? The smell of that car, the cold, it never leaves you." "Do you resent your father?" Sienna asked. Garrett was quiet for a long moment. "I used to, but I realized he was broken, just like your husband is broken. That doesn't excuse what they did, but understanding it helps." Sienna's voice trembled. "I hate Marcus for leaving, but I also miss the man he used to be, before grief and addiction took him." "That's not weakness," Garrett said. "That's humanity." 3 months later, Sienna had her own apartment, modest but hers. Jade was enrolled in preschool, thriving, laughing, and Sienna had saved enough to start paying Garrett back. When she handed him the first check, he refused it. "This isn't a loan," he said firmly. "It's a second chance, the kind my mother never got." "Then let me pay it forward," Sienna insisted. "Let me help someone else the way you helped me." Garrett smiled, a real smile that reached his eyes. "Deal." 6 months later, Sienna co-founded a program with Garrett's company, providing temporary housing and job training for homeless families. They called it Patricia's Place, after his mother. At the grand opening, little Jade, now 4, stood on stage and said in her tiny voice, "My mommy says we were lost, but Mr. Garrett helped us find home." Sienna hugged her daughter close, looking at Garrett across the room. He was talking to other families, listening to their stories, seeing them, really seeing them, the way he'd seen her that rainy night. After the event, as they cleaned up, Sienna approached him. "You changed our lives," she said softly. Garrett shook his head. "You changed your own life. I just opened a door. You walked through it." "Can I ask you something? That night, why did you knock on my window? Most people would have walked by." Garrett's eyes glistened. "Because my mother died in a car, alone, too proud to ask for help. And I wasn't there." His voice broke. "I can't save her, but maybe I can honor her by making sure no one else has to suffer that way." Sienna took his hand. "She'd be so proud of the man you became. And your daughter will be proud of the woman you are, the woman who survived, who fought, who never gave up." Years later, Jade would ask her mother about the time they camped in the car. Sienna would tell her the truth, not a sanitized version, but the real story. The fear, the cold, the kindness of a stranger who understood suffering because he'd lived it. And Jade would learn the most important lesson of all, that broken people can heal each other, that wealth means nothing without compassion, and that sometimes the greatest inheritance isn't money. It's the courage to help someone else find their way home. One winter evening, Sienna and Garrett stood outside Patricia's place, watching families arrive for dinner. Snow fell softly, just like it had that first night. "You know," Sienna said quietly, "Jade asked me yesterday what home means. I told her home isn't a place. It's the people who refuse to let you face the darkness alone." Garrett smiled, his voice thick with emotion. "Your daughter is lucky to have you. And we're lucky to have you." As they watched another family walk through the doors, a mother with 2 children, exhausted but hopeful, Sienna thought about how far they'd come. From a freezing car to this moment of warmth and possibility. Sometimes the coldest nights lead to the warmest hearts. And sometimes the person who saves you is the one still healing from saving themselves, reminding us that kindness isn't born from perfection, but from remembering what it felt like to need it most. Thank you so much for watching this story. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment.